Good morning and welcome back to the Tuesday edition of Newsday Amarillo. I'm David Lovejoy.
And I'm Shannon Gray.
Right now we're joined by retired Admiral Ronnie Jackson, seeking the congressional seat of the 13th District, a runoff election coming up on the 14th. Mr. Jackson, thank you for joining us this morning on Newsday.
Hey, thank you guys for having me.
The campaign, and like I said, it was abbreviated because of the pandemic and kind of had to change your focus in how you did this campaign. But as you've crisscrossed this district, what are some of the things that you see or that stand out for you that need to be addressed when you get to D.C.?
Well, I think, people here are concerned about what's going on in elsewhere in the country is one of the big issues. The 13th Congressional District up here is a staunchly conservative area, and, I think folks are looking around and seeing what's happening in some of these large cities, especially in these Democrat states on the East Coast and the West Coast, and they're just terrified at what they're seeing. So I think that's one of the biggest issues right now is people want to make sure that doesn't happen here, that doesn't come here, and people are still concerned about, coronavirus and, if we're going to get our economy fully up and open again, and, is it going to come back in the fall? Is the economy going to get shut down again? All of these questions. So I think the main thing that's concerning people out there right now is the economic uncertainty and just the kind of the disintegration of law and order around the country and how those two things are going to impact us here, in the near future.
Oh, yeah, and that's something, the economy. Before the pandemic kicked in January, we were looking at record-breaking numbers in the Dow Jones, and right. Boy, what a hurdle! And now, due to several states now having to roll back their opening up with this pandemic, do you see a need for maybe another stimulus check or stimulus package for this pandemic to just everyday Joe Blow citizens?
Well, I don't know. I hope that that it doesn't get to that, because first off, I hope that our country doesn't get in a position where we have to have that again. Mm-hmm. And also, I don't like spending the taxpayers' money like that. This is money that we're just racking up debt. So I hope not, but I want to make sure that we get past this. We had to do that at some point early on to bridge the gap so that people could make ends meet, small businesses being shut down, people being laid off. Yeah. We had to do what we had to do. And so we'll do what we have to do. But when this virus comes back, even if it comes back in the fall, which I think that it probably will, it's not going to come back it's not going to be like it was initially. It's not going to shut our economy down. It's just not. We're much better prepared for it. We know a lot more about it now. So I think we're much better positioned right now.
Admiral Jackson, I am curious, we're talking about the economy, and obviously in this part of the country, agriculture kind of rules the roost. It's such a big driving force in our local economy. I want to know how you're going to focus your energy to help the folks in that industry.
Yeah, so one of the things I'm going to do, I'm going to be very, very aggressive about being engaged on the agricultural front across the board on a day-to-day basis. Agriculture is incredibly important to the people in the 13th Congressional District. One of the very first things I'm going to do when I get to Congress, if the folks here up in 13th see fit to elect me as their congressman, I'm going to get on the Ag Committee. I'm going to be on the Agriculture Committee. I'm going to be a strong voice for Ag in this district. I'm going to get information. I'm going to get everything I get regarding agriculture, whether it's farming or ranching, it's going to come from people right here on the ground in the 13th Congressional District. I'm not going to be getting my information about what's working and what's not working and what problems we need to fix from lobbyists or special interest groups in D.C. The people that I'm going to be listening to are going to be the people out there doing the work on a day-to-day basis in this district. And I'm going to be a great advocate. I'm going to be a loud, proud voice for Texas Ag. I've been backed by the Texas Ag Commissioner, Sid Miller, has backed me in this race, and I think that speaks volumes about his trust and confidence for me to be the representative for this district with regards to agricultural issues. So I'm going to work hard on that. I'm going to work closely with the president and with the executive branch to make sure that our farmers and ranchers are taken care of. And I think I'm going to be a very effective advocate in that regard.
And would you say that, global trade agreements and maybe even potential federal aid would be on the docket for you with that?
Well, I think that global trade agreements are incredibly important. I think that the president has done a fantastic job, whether it's USMCA or the China trade stuff, on renegotiating our trade agreements so that they favor our farmers and our ranchers, and so that we're more competitive and that we're getting a better price for our products. I think that we have to be careful right now, and I think the president's been doing a good job of walking the fine line. We need to make sure that the phase one negotiations with China, that they follow through on their end. They promised billions of dollars of purchase of agricultural products as part of that deal, so we have to hold their feet to the fire on that. We have a lot of influence and a lot of leverage that we can use against China to make sure that they're holding up their end of the deal, and I think the president absolutely intends to do that. And I'm going to be out there fighting hard to make sure the farm bill is intact, and that we're taking care of our farmers in that regard as well. I'm going to work hard.
Dr. Jackson, last question here for you. The people want to know. The people, it's just a simple, right there on plain as the nose on your face. Why do you think you're the man for this job? Can you tell the folks why you're the man who needs to go to D.C. for the 13th district?
Sure, I'll tell you. A lot of it is circumstance, David. It really is. I mean, I have the influence that's going to be necessary to protect and grow this district for the next decade. And I say that because, like I tell people all the time, Mac Thornberry's been our congressman for 26 years now, right? He's got a lot of influence. He's got a lot of authority. He's got a big voice. When he speaks, people listen. The day he leaves, that's zero. We're going to have a freshman congressman in there that's going to have no influence, no authority. No one's going to know who that person is, what their name is, what their issues are, and no one's going to care. And unfortunately, that's just the way that Congress is structured. That person's going to have to be in that office for a good 6 to 8 years to develop any kind of tenure such that they can represent, issues that are specific to this district. It's a real disadvantage. Well, I'm the exception to that. And it's not so much just because Ronnie Jackson. I mean, I like to think I have a little bit to do with it, obviously, but it's circumstance. I just came from the White House. I just worked every day side by side with President Trump. I know every single member of his cabinet, whether it's agriculture, commerce, energy, defense, the VA, they're all friends of mine. And, I've taken care of them and their families for the last 3 years. I have their home phone numbers, their cell phone numbers. When I call them, they're going to pick the phone up. They're going to want to know how they can help me fix whatever problem we have. I know everybody in the West Wing, the Chief of Staff, the National Security Advisor, Domestic Policy Council, all friends of mine. And if I'm blessed enough to represent this district, I can promise you I will be the only freshman congressman in this country that can legitimately walk into the Oval Office unannounced and tell the President of the United States, sir, I got something I got to make you aware of. And he will stop what he's doing and listen to me. And that just brings a lot of influence and a lot of authority to this district that we're not going to have for a long time to come otherwise. And it's going to make us vulnerable. And I'm going to take care of this district. And I tell folks all the time, I make you 2 promises. I promise you, if you elect me as your congressman, I promise you, number 1, I will make you proud. And number 2, I promise you that everyone in this country will know who the representative from the 13th Congressional District is, because I'm going to be a loud, proud voice for the state of Texas, for the 13th Congressional District, and for each and every one of you, I promise.
Yes, Mr. Jackson, Chuck Williams in the newsroom. I was just listening to what you had to say. Does this mean, basically, are you going to be the so-called, quote, rubber stamp for the president, or what, sir?
Absolutely not. I'm going to represent the folks in this district. That's the unique advantage I have. I have a relationship with the president, and if something comes up, I can influence the process. I can talk to the president. I can convince him, to see things the way that we see things here in this district. If that comes up, if that becomes an issue, I'm not going to be a rubber stamp for anybody. I'm my own man. I'm going to represent the folks in this district.
That's all I needed to know.
There you go.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. Once again,
Yes, sir.
Admiral Ronnie Jackson running for the 13th Congressional Street in District 13. Thank you. This is about your 3rd time coming on. Newsday Amarillo, not just about the election. You gave us some great tips when the coronavirus first broke out, the pandemic. As a physician, you called us and spoke with us about that. Good luck on the rest of your campaign, sir. And, like I said, be careful and do the right thing. That's what makes the difference.
Thank you guys for having me, David. I live here in Amarillo. I'm just a few steps away. I'm at your disposal anytime you need me.
Oh, thank you so much, sir. And like I said, good luck. Happy 4th of July.
You too. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. That was a congressional candidate, Mr. Ronnie Jackson there, live with us here on Newsday Amarillo. And